Joining me now is Bob Shrum, veteran Democratic strategist and professor at New York University. Is this a classic just throw the bums out? Of course, the proverbial thinking is right now is that, you know, Martha Coakley is behind and Scott Brown's going to win this thing. But judging from the reports all day long, Bob, it seems like it's a throw the bums out mentality, what we're hearing.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's going to interpret this as, some kind of referendum on the president or referendum on health care. You know, there's a famous book written about Massachusetts political campaigns called The Last Hurrah. This book could be called The Worst Hurrah. I mean, you have a candidate who took the election for granted, who waited too long to make a real argument, who said that Curt Schilling was a Yankees fan, Catholics shouldn't work in emergency rooms. I'm for her, and I hope in these last 2 hours people will go out and vote for her, because she's going to stand with Barack Obama to pass a jobs bill. Scott Brown's going to vote against it. But that's the reality. The president's very popular here, nearly 60% approval. John Kerry is even more popular here. Vicki Kennedy is stratospherically popular. I think a different Democratic candidate and a different Democratic campaign would not have put us in the position that we're probably in tonight.
Bob, how much do you put at the altar of the Obama administration when it comes to shouldering responsibility for not getting health care done, for trying to work with Republicans when they said last July that they wanted it to be his Waterloo, and trying to drag this thing out instead of getting it done and focusing down and nailing this health care bill down? Every legislative agenda has got a shelf life, and maybe people are just tired about waiting for health care reform to the point where they think nothing's going to get done. Do you sense any of that with the voters today in Massachusetts?
Well, you're certainly right about the shelf life. And one of the problems with health care here in Massachusetts was that Scott Brown kept going around saying, look, we all have health care. We have a state health care plan, which, by the way, is quite similar to the one that's before the Congress. So we're just going to pay for other people to have one. And Martha Coakley never got up and said, wait a minute, there are provisions in that bill that give Massachusetts more Medicaid money. So under that bill, we're not only held harmless, we may come out ahead. She never, the health care might have been the elephant in the room. You had to talk about it. You couldn't run away from it. You had to talk about jobs. You couldn't spend all your time talking about abortion and choice.
It's the economy, it's health care, it's the state of the country, all of that. Bob Shrum, does Martha Coakley have a shot at this? Do you believe all the polls? And I guess this big turnout, would this mean Democrats are just coming out in droves to support Obama?
I think she has a shot. I worry about saying that the turnout helps her. The Mayor Menino of Boston just told me that there's a 70% turnout in the town of Carlisle, which is heavily Republican.
Yeah.
I think you may see a lot of Republicans coming out. He said he was going to be the 41st vote against health care to get his Republican base, and then he ran a stylistic campaign to get independents and other people. And when he's out there shaking hands in the cold in front of Fenway Park, and his opponent says, why would you do that? I spend my time talking to politicians. You're going to get into a difficult race. Teddy Kennedy, who was the most popular politician in the history of this state, never took anything for granted.
Yeah.
We'd be riding along in a car. He'd see a car with a Kennedy bumper sticker. He'd say, pull up next to the guy. I want to talk to him. It was a constant effort to communicate with and touch people and to show people that progressive values mattered in their lives, whether it was the minimum wage, children's health care, or helping kids to go to college. That hasn't happened in this campaign.